Hi guys, this is Klazart with another audio commentary, and this time I'm commentating on the OSL Group A Tiebreaker Game 2. If you haven't seen Game 1 yet, please go watch it now because the results will be spoiled for you in this matchup. I did get a couple of PMs from you guys wondering what's going on, why I've been sounding down lately. Well, it's just that I've actually had a sore throat for the last couple of weeks, and I don't seem to be able to shake it off for some reason. So if my voice sounds a little bit hoarse, that's the reason for you. But it's not stopping me from making this commentary for you guys anyway. So we've got Much at the bottom left-hand corner of the map in green at the 7 o'clock position, playing Protoss obviously, and Bisu at the top right-hand corner in purple. I'm really looking forward to this match. I think this is going to be a great game of StarCraft. There's just so much potential here. Bisu obviously devastated July in Game 1. July tried his best, tried everything he could do, but now he is counting on banking on the player who beat him and put him in this very predicament to now rescue him from it by beating Bisu and then losing to him. And that's the only chance that July has of furthering this tiebreak and giving himself a chance to progress through. Otherwise, we are going to be seeing the reigning OSL champion dethroned in this very matchup. If Bisu wins this match, he will go through to the next round, dumping both July and Much out of the OSL, and wouldn't that be sweet for Bisu to take out his arch... well, I suppose July isn't really his arch Zerg enemy, but it's certainly a Zerg player, and Bisu now sending out his probe to scout, Much probably about to do the same, and Bisu taking out July would, I think, be a sweet cherry on the cake for him, along with qualifying, especially since, and won't July rue to regret the fact that he picked Flash in this group, because had he beaten Flash, he would have been in a much more comfortable position, but then, had he beaten Much, he would have been in a much more comfortable position too, so we have to remember the fact that July did lose 2 games. Bisu sending a scout out, Much's scout coming out a lot later than Bisu's, interesting enough, Much also scouting for the possibility of any proxies just next to his natural expo in anticipation of his opponent trying to sneak one by him, as we've seen happen in recent games and a couple of games on this map. Bisu going straight in to get the scout in with his probe. He's in Much's base. His scout much earlier than Much's. Much, meanwhile, looks like has started up his assimilator, and Much's probe just now approaching Bisu's base. Bisu has his gateway up, but he hasn't started up his assimilator yet, so he seems to be a little bit behind in that regard compared to Bisu's, even though both players look to, at the start, be going for similar builds. And Bisu with a Manor Pylon blocking in Much's probe at the mineral line. It'll be interesting to see how much, but Much has a Zealot out from his gateway, and looks like a second pylon going down within Much's mineral line. I'm not sure if that's a pylon from Bisu. I think it is, and looks like Bisu's managed to trap at least 2 of Much's probe behind those pylons, and Bisu's actually allowing the pylons to complete. He's not even cancelling the pylons. He's going to force Much to destroy the pylon. The second Manor Pylon doesn't look to have trapped any probes, but I think it is slowing down Much's economy. The 2 pylons doing a job of slowing, and you can see that Much's probes have to circle around the mineral line to try and get at some of those minerals, and another mineral section of minerals is blocked, and that obviously slowing down, and Bisu gets his Zealot out as well, but not before Much gets his probe within Bisu's base. And it'll be interesting if Much counters maybe by blocking Bisu's assimilator, since Bisu's expended these extra minerals on those pylons. He hasn't cancelled any of the 2 pylons, both the pylons. Bisu allowed them to come to completion and forced Much to actually take them out. Looks like meanwhile Much might have started up his cybernetics core just next to the 2 pylons that he has built. Bisu with a probe continued to scout around in Much's base, and looks like Bisu has started his cybernetics core as well, so both players in similar positions. It's just interesting to see how much, if any, and Bisu looks like somehow he's managed to ward Much's probe out of his base. I don't know how he managed to do that. Much obviously not very sharp in his multitasking, not able to keep that probe circling around. Against Zealots, you really should be able to. Meanwhile, Much's cybernetics core is up and it's spinning, and really Bisu should be able to, Bisu has gotten a scout on that. On the other hand, Much's probe is blocked off from Bisu's base because Bisu's got 2 Zealots on that ramp, and so Much's probe is not able to get by. And again, it's surprising to me that Much, once he had that probe inside Bisu's base, wasn't able to keep it there and just keep it circling the way Bisu has been able to avoid Much's Zealots. Much's micro, I suppose, letting him down a little bit, and Bisu with more information than Much, and we do know how effective Bisu is when he gets the scout. Looks like Much starting up his second gateway. I would guess Bisu has started the same. So far, we've seen mirror builds from both these players, and Bisu now with his first Dragoon out, sending a Zealot out to scout, just outside of his natural expo, probably just trying to check for proxies or anything like that. Bisu putting the robotics facility down, so Bisu looks like he's taking advantage of that little tech lead he seems to have gotten from Much with the second gateway, Bisu with the robotics facility, and Bisu obviously knows what Much is doing, and Bisu's adapted his strategy accordingly to try and give himself an advantage. Much meanwhile with a Dragoon just scouting around the map as well, just checking out the bottom right hand corner of the map at the 5 o'clock position, probably to make sure that Bisu isn't trying to build something sneaky there and try and sneak one by him, and perhaps even if he leaves the Dragoon there, he could intercept any potential shuttles that might pop out. But looks like he is moving that Dragoon back towards his base, and looks like Bisu meanwhile has started up a second gateway, and Much now starting up, only now starting up his robotics facility. So he's going to be a little bit behind in terms of getting those reavers out. Bisu's definitely going to have a small advantage in that, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not Bisu can translate that. If I had to put my money on either of these two players before this game started, it would definitely have been on Bisu. He's definitely, I feel, the stronger player when it comes to Protoss versus Protoss. And obviously, I think, in my humble opinion, it's safe to say that Bisu is on a different level, of skill than Much. At his peak, Bisu at his peak beats Much at his peak any day, in my opinion. So it's just a question of how good Bisu is able to play. Much has got a chance against him, but only if Bisu doesn't perform to his very best. Bisu starting up his observatory, interesting enough, before starting up the robotic support bay. Meanwhile, he looks to be content to set up a defensive posture. Much sending out a couple of Dragoons, looks like 4 Dragoons and 2 Zealots, just to take that ramp just south of Bisu's natural expo. And interesting enough for Much to set up that position. Perhaps it's just a slightly advanced position. Maybe he feels that if Bisu's going to be pushing out, he just wants to delay Bisu a little bit by having those forces on that ramp and buy himself some more time and buy himself some advanced scouting. Bisu with that probe continually trying to get in at Bisu's natural expo, but at Much's natural expo, but Much does have a Dragoon there as well at the ramp just east of his natural expo to deny Bisu that. Looks like the robotics support bay now going down for Much, and Much, I think, has foregone the observatory, and I think that's a wise move by him, even though obviously he would need that, but the fact that he's forgone the observatory will allow him to get his reavers out that much quicker, and I think Much probably should even forgo the shuttle. Bisu's got the shuttle. I think Much might even forgo the shuttle and just adopt a defensive stance initially and just get one reaver out. Bisu now pushing out with 4 Dragoons on his own. Much not putting up the fight, even though he had the advantage of the higher ground on the ramp. Bisu did have the observer, obviously, to give him the height, but Much did have the higher ground advantage, did not use it at all, pulling back straight away. Bisu chasing him down, doing some damage. Much looks to have retreated. Bisu I think probably had a couple more Dragoons and maybe Much thought that coming in. Much now has retreated to the ramp north of his natural expo with what looked like 6 Dragoons and a couple of Zealots. Now the observatory going down for Much. He's got the robotic support bay up. I haven't seen a shuttle out yet for Much. Bisu's going to have his reavers out. Bisu putting a 3rd gateway down meanwhile in his base. Both players obviously going for 1 base builds in this matchup, and this is a really, really close matchup, guys. Bisu probably having a slight edge, and Much has put the shuttle out as well, so I guess it does make sense to get that shuttle. Looks like Much is ready to take his natural expo as well. He's got a probe sitting there. I don't think Bisu's posture is similar. I think Bisu put a third gateway down, so Bisu with a much more aggressive posture. I'm not sure if